My guest today has sailed on a tall ship, thrown himself out of a plane, abseiled and skied. Impressive stuff, but especially for someone born with a rare disability. He's a prominent disability campaigner and he's not been made member of the British Empire for nothing. I'm journalist Angela Walker and this is my podcast where I talk to inspirational people and discuss underreported issues. And today I'm in conversation with Isaac Harvey MBE. Isaac, first of all, thanks for joining me, and I've been really looking forward to meeting you because I've been watching all this stuff about you online and I've got so many questions to ask you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. I look forward to the conversation we're going to have.
So it's hard to know where to start because you've done so much stuff, but can I ask you a bit about your disability, just for people listening? So we can get an understanding of what your achievements have been in context there.
Sure. So I was born with a disability called limbpelvic hypoplasia, which means I have no arms and short legs. I have a weak pelvis, so I'm not able to walk around. So I use my wheelchair, which is foot controlled. And I also have scoliosis, which is the curvature of the spine, and reflux, which is stomach problems and acidity. But as you've mentioned in the beginning, it's not stopped me from doing a variety of different things.
It doesn't seem to be holding you back at all. And you must have a lot of strength in your feet, actually, because you do so much using them. But how did you get that sort of dexterity and everything?
Well, it all started, so I started using my feet to do drawings and stuff. I used to draw with my feet, very basic pictures, and I did some writing as well. And then I remember a friend of mine invited me to his house to just hang out, and he had the PlayStation 1 there, and I went over and I thought, I want to have a go at this. And I kind of put my feet in a certain position, lying down like this. And I somehow managed to play games. And then that went on to then playing PlayStation 2 as well, because I got used to it. And then I transferred those skills to the laptop. And that's how I use it with my feet. And I got thank video games for driving games, because I had kind of the mindset of a driver. So when I got my first electric wheelchair, I was whizzing about, not hitting anything. So in my house, it's kind of really tight corridors in some of the house. And I was going through, and it amazed the people who gave me the wheelchair, because it was my first time driving a wheelchair. So yeah, it's just different skills that's come to one, really.
I guess you must really have to look after your feet then. I mean, they're just so important to you.
Basically, yeah, they're basically my hands. So yes, do have to look after them. Even though I have damaged them through things, but yes.
Do you do anything special? Do you have physio on them and stuff like that to help you?
So so not really for my feet, but I did have physio on my back after the operations and the metal work which was put in my back, but not really for my feet.
Has that helped you with the scoliosis, having that operation?
Yeah, so it if they caught it early on, and if I didn't have done it, it would have curved so much that I may have had really difficulty in breathing, and uncomfortable in my back. But so that was good, but unfortunately it tilted my pelvis. So now whenever I sit, I get pain in my right leg. And I've had so many different types of seatings, but nothing seems to work. So it was either difficulty in breathing or the pain I have. So, very
Gosh, I'm
difficult.
sorry about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Gosh,
Yes.
I wonder if you could have I guess you've tried to have special seats made and stuff like that.
Yeah, different seats. I even had injections in to maybe strengthen them, but yeah, nothing seems to really work at the moment anyway.
Are you okay, like kind of like reclining as you are chatting?
Yeah, so lying down, I'm absolutely fine because there's no pressure on my leg. But once I'm sitting, that's when I get the pain. And I'm also someone, because throughout my school life, I used to take a lot of medication for it, because I didn't really like the pain. But then, as you know, if you take too much medication, there's side effects and things. So, I kind of push through it now. Unless it's really bad, then I take the medication. But yeah, I don't really like taking pain medication either.
Sure, sure. Well, tell me about some of these like high octane sports you've been doing. You've been doing like abseiling and skiing and sailing. Talk me through some of those highlights.
Sure. So, the sailing came about, I think it's 2016. I got an email from my um, social worker at the time, and she sent me an email saying, "Oh, they're doing accessible sailing in your area, and they take wheelchairs and things." So oh no, they do accessible sailing. So I emailed them. I said, "Oh, I'm a wheelchair user, and these would be my needs." And they said, "Oh, unfortunately, we don't take wheelchairs." So they then introduced me to another one called the Jubilee Sailing Trust, and this was like a tall ship boat, so like a pirate ship, and they take all disabilities. So I thought, okay, that's really interesting. So I emailed saying my interest and I'd love to take part in this voyage, as they like to call them. And this when I discovered it was like so they get half of the people. So there's 40 people on the boat. Half of them are people with disabilities, and then the other half are people who don't know much about disabilities. So it's an opportunity for them to learn about varying people. So I thought, yeah, it was a great initiative, and I wanted to get involved. And I emailed at the right time because they were about to do a collaboration with Barclays Bank and their staff members, and they're all going around the whole of the UK, where different staff members would go on at different points, so different legs of the journey. So I got involved going from Cardiff to Bristol, and it was a 4-day voyage. These buddies are not your carers, so I had to bring my sister, who helped out. And now the thing is, I knew I get seasick,
Oh
but
gosh.
I thought I'd give it a go anyway. So I went on and it was all fine. And then when we came out of the dock and into the main part of the water, the body of water, I immediately felt like a real big sickness.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was
So
like,
what
oh
would you
gosh.
do? Like, so it's like a pirate ship, and
Yes.
so like 4 days. So you're sleeping, eating,
Yeah,
everything
all on the boat.
on
Yeah.
this ship. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And with the really great thing is we have to do things like steering the boat, so you could do that with a foot control. Um, I got to go up in the mast, so they all flung me up to the top of the boat,
Amazing. How did
and we
they help you
practiced
get to the
sailing.
top of the mast then?
So it's a big team effort, and they put the chair around ropes, and then everyone in the boat has to kind of pull me up, basically.
Are they all going heave,
Yes,
heave, like a tug of
all
war
of that.
kind of thing?
All of that, yeah, yeah, yeah. But this time everyone's on the same team.
Oh, that's brilliant. And when you were up there, were you like, oh, I'm loving this? Or were you kind of thinking, oh, can you get me down now?
Well, I don't mind heights because prior to that I'd done a skydive, so
Amazing.
yeah,
I'd done a
yeah,
skydive and I did enjoy that, but when I went abseiling, about halfway up, I just froze and I couldn't
right,
go any further and I went into this kind of crevice, like a sort of cave thing, and they were like, right, you need to come down it. And I was like, I can't. And they had to like basically rescue me because I
Oh
got
my
stuck and I've
gosh.
never, I know. And I don't know, I think it's because the year before that, I went on this climbing wall and I fell and
Okay.
I scraped myself on this bit
Ooh.
that was sticking out, this overhang. And I didn't think it affected me at the time. I was like, oh, I'm okay. I've survived. I've a glass of wine. I'll be all right. But
Yes.
it wasn't until I went and did this abseiling that I kind of like had this sort of flashback. And I was,
Oh my
so
gosh.
I should probably try and do it again to maybe like overcome the fear.
Yes.
But
That's what you got to do.
oh gosh, I'd do the skydive again. So tell me about that. How did you enjoy that, the skydive?
Well, the thing is, again, my motion sickness played on me, but I was really looking forward to it. I was doing it for fundraising. Had to go to America to do it because no places here had the right equipment, and of course, health and safety doesn't want me flying through the parachutes, so they needed it all safe and things. So I went to Ohio and did it. And yeah, it was a good experience, but as soon as I left the plane, just motion sickness got the best of me. Um, People said it was because I was scared. I wasn't scared.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, yeah, and that was at 14,000 feet.
Were you was it like a tandem skydive where you're like
Yes.
attached to somebody else? Yeah, yeah, that's like the one I did. So did they I guess you couldn't do that with the wheelchair. They just strapped you onto the instructor, did they?
So I was onto the instructor, but I know that there are ones where the wheelchair can go.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds kind of dangerous to me, having this like metal wheelchair like flying through the air.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
sure I'd fancy that. That like on landing, that
Yes.
sounds like it could be a bit risky. Gosh.
Absolutely, yes.
So you've done some really exciting stuff. Is there anything that you haven't done yet that you want to do?
I would like to try and do a wing walk. So that's when you're
Oh yeah,
outside of the plane.
that would be
So I've
cool.
not done that. Yeah, I was about to do that last year, but they didn't have the right harnesses again. But they want to work with me, so I can do it. So potentially in the future.
That would be really cool.
Hmm.
And have you thought about bungee jump?
I have, and that terrifies me more than a skydive. But but also because I have the metalwork in my back, I don't want it to kind of have that jolt.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
There is a big jolt. There is a big jolt. I did one in New
right.
Zealand about 15 years ago, and the fear did overcome me, and they actually pushed me off.
Oh
And
right,
so
okay.
when they shoved me, I just fell right down. And there is a real, yeah, there's definitely a real sort of jolt. It's not a gentle, yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite. I wouldn't do one again if I'm honest.
Right, okay.
I'm not so daring as you. Gosh.
Yes,
So can we talk about, because you're from Ilford actually, aren't you?
that's correct. Yes.
And which is in East London, which is quite close to Romford, which is where
Yes.
I'm from, funnily enough.
Oh right,
So
okay.
yeah, so I grew up in Romford. So what was it like growing up in Ilford?
Um, it was so yeah. Growing up, public transport, for example, was a very difficult thing, and traveling around anywhere outside of Ilford just became quite difficult because there were steps onto the bus. Stations definitely didn't have lifts. Well, many anyway. So that was a big thing for me that I had to get taxis everywhere to get to places. And then when buses started to get accessible, I was so terrified. I was like, I've never done this before. I was like seven, eight, and I was going on these buses, and I was, oh, I don't like this. My chair's sliding all over the place. So that took me a while to overcome. But yeah, Ilford's been my home, and I'm just used to it. And sadly, it has decreased over time. Ilford was quite nice, but I've been part of plans where there's trying to regrow it, and there's new restaurants opening now. So, in the near future, I hope it'll be a nice place again, and more people come and visit.
That would be nice. Is the Exchange shopping centre there? Because we used to like come along and hang out at the Exchange back in the day.
That's still there, yes. The food
Is it
is
still
quite fun.
there?
Yeah,
What's and we used to go to this club called the Island. I don't know if that's there now.
it is, but I don't think it's a club anymore.
Okay, I should go back and have a look at all my old haunts, shouldn't I? Like
Oh, well, I could
you
give
could
you a
take me
tour.
on, yeah, you could take me on the tour, yeah, down memory lane. Oh my
Yes, yes,
goodness.
yeah, we
Uh,
gotta do that.
because I remember when the Exchange Centre in Ilford actually opened. That was
Oh,
quite a long
really?
time ago. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm a bit older
Wow.
than you, I think. Yeah. Oh gosh. So I wanted to ask you about wheels and wheelchairs because
Oh,
this is
yes.
something that I've been watching some of your videos online and it's a really good pastime for people like you who've got like a great sense of adventure. Just tell us about wheels and wheelchairs, Isaac.
Yeah, so I'll give you a brief history of it. So Wheels and Wheelchairs started in 2012 after a French group had been doing similar activities in Paris, and they challenged themselves for their 10th anniversary to skate with wheelchair users to Paris to London for the beginning of the Paralympic Games. So they contacted skaters here. Skaters didn't really understand the concept and called them a little crazy because they'd never heard of anything like it before.
Because so
Um,
yeah, just to explain, this is
yeah.
people on wheelchair,
Oh, yes.
people on roller skates wheeling along people in wheelchairs,
Yes, on the
isn't it?
street and the
Is
parks.
that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
So yeah, roller skaters pushing wheelchair users with like specially adapted sports chairs with an additional front wheel, which stops the wobble at the front of the wheels. So yeah, so they did this challenge, got to London, and the London skaters saw them coming, gave them like an a big welcome, and they were like, oh, actually, you know what, we should really start something here. So it started off taking out people in a hospice first. They went out, and then it kind of grew into taking out more people with disabilities. And then I first heard about the group. So this was 2012. So I first heard about the group at the end of 2018 when I went to Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park.
Hmm.
Went on the ice rink in my electric wheelchair, and I started talking to the ice marshal, and we were just chatting away. And then he said, "Oh, would you be interested in wheelchair roller skating?" And I thought I've never heard of that before because I've done, the other things that I've mentioned and plus a lot more. So I was like, okay, that's really interesting. So I ended up um, getting in contact and getting to do the first skate in March in Battersea Park. Absolutely loved it. Did a video on it as well, and the group really liked it. Then a week later, did the Sunday stroll, and that's where like 200 to 300 skaters would skate the streets of London, all marshaled
Wow.
and everything. But it was, and for my first ever one on a Sunday was the Easter skate, so everyone was dressed up in Easter costumes, bunny outfits,
Nice.
all types of things, and yeah, it was really good. Got involved, did the Paris Marathon, got to skate with the Paris group, and
Oh, you
a
just
lot of
say it like we did
competitions.
the Paris. We did the Paris marathon. You just throw it out there. Did a marathon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so like how fast are you guys going? Because it looks pretty rapid from the videos.
Oh, we can get to a high speed. I mean, I don't know if you've seen when there's loads of people from behind. Like we can have 5 people from behind pushing, and we can go at some
Brilliant.
really big speeds.
Brilliant. It looks like so much fun.
Oh, it
Well,
is.
I want to put you in touch with my sister because she does roller derby.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever see roller derby? And she's from the London Rockin' Rollers roller derby team.
Okay.
And they are a bunch of tough ladies I would not mess with. And I was telling her all about wheels and wheelchairs, and I said, "Oh, maybe I could put you in touch with Isaac, and like you guys can all like meet up and maybe do some activity or something." So I don't know what you think about that idea.
I mean, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, especially in London. Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Yeah, they're in London, so I will connect you guys because I think that would be really fun. And I know that they're keen on doing lots of kind of fundraising activities and stuff like that. I'd like to connect you guys, and then we can come and do another podcast, and you can tell me all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
So, how many people do you think you've got involved in wheels and wheelchairs now? Because you're the president now, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. So it was after that whole year, and going to the annual general meeting that they asked me if I would like to take that position. And the thing is that so early the year, the previous president sadly passed away for unforeseen circumstances. No one was expecting it, and I didn't get to meet her, but throughout that whole year, I felt like I did know her because there were so many memories and how much she really meant to people and how she brought people together and spoke to people. It was like really lovely to hear. So when they asked me, I was like, "Oh, I've got big shoes to fill," especially from the previous president. But I thought, I see a vision. I can see this becoming something big. And yeah, I've kind of been helping with that driving force, and we have a great committee and group. So yeah, we've since I've joined, I mean, we have, about three more regular wheelchair users. More skaters have been willing to push our wheelchair users. So yeah, we've been growing slowly, and we're continuing to grow. And we've, had other people contact us and say, "Oh, I'd love to start a group here." So yeah, we're growing slowly.
That's brilliant. And have you got any kind of big events coming up, or are there any like new events that you sort of start, do you reckon?
Yeah, so we have an event in Windsor, Windsor Castle. There's an inclusive festival called Parallel, and we're doing a skate around Windsor Castle, and we're going to be able to go where cyclists can't even go for this one day, so
Amazing.
that's really exciting. We've got an event in Dorney Lake, which is also near Windsor. Later this year, we may go back to Berlin and do the marathon. So yeah, just all different types of events, and we've done some new events since I've been around too. So yes, it's good fun.
Dorney Lake will be a good one because there's like a track that goes right round that lake,
That's
isn't
it. Yes.
there?
Yeah.
And
So
that
I've done
is
that a
that
few
where
times.
that's really cool. And I think they had a lot of the Olympic and Paralympic racing
Mm.
at Dorney Lake, if I remember correctly. So yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
that's a good one to do. Brilliant. Um, Tell us about your MBE. When did that happen? When did that happen? And how did it come about? Did you just get a letter or a phone call?
Well, um, so first of all, the last thing you ever think is you're gonna get an MBE or anything of the sorts, but it was around November. I think it was, yeah, middle November. Um, Sadly, I didn't get anything glamorous as a phone call or a letter. It was an email. Um, they sent me an email saying, you've been put onto the New Year's Kings honors list, and if you would like to accept this honor. And immediately, because I'm internet safety conscious, I thought, oh, is this a scam? Because
Oh,
you never know. You never know.
true.
Especially when you're not expecting it as well. But when I read it, it was from a government email, so it was a
Hmm.
legit email. And then I told my mum about it. And yeah, she was happy. And
I bet she was. What did she say?
oh no, she was just very very happy about it. And but it was one of those things I couldn't say anything publicly, so I couldn't tell anyone else, and I knew my mum
Hmm.
wouldn't say anything. So I accepted it, and then they said, "Oh, you'll be notified in the new year when you're on the list." So I had like a whole month of not being able to say anything, which is,
That's really hard.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good at not telling people things, but I think this was slightly more difficult, especially when you're
Hmm.
around friends and you're all chatting about, and yeah. And luckily, I didn't slip up once, so that was
Was
good.
anyone like Isaac? You're looking really chirpy today. What's going on?
I think there was only one occasion where someone kind of saw that something was up, but I didn't really spill the beans there. But yes, very close.
Oh.
Um, but the thing is, so I thought it was going to be announced on the 1st of January.
Mhm.
So I was waiting for that, and then the 31st came, and I woke up and I got 3 messages from people saying, "Oh, I just saw you on the New Year's honors list. Congratulations on the MBE." I was like, "Oh gosh, it's out already. I didn't realize." So it was like, oh, I had to then think of a post because I wanted to post it before the new year ended and
Sure.
announce it there and then. So yeah, it was cool. Because for me, I don't really do things for awards or accolades, but I think this and other things that I have achieved is like a statement and shows what can be done if you put your mind to it, and disabilities, you can still overcome things and have a fulfilling life. So yeah, I think it's for the bigger picture.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And did you get to go up to like London to receive your MBE?
So I've not received it yet. Loads of people said, "Oh, you're probably going to get it in the summer." So I thought, okay, I'll wait till then. But then it was mid-May, and I was thinking, I've not heard anything, and I'm sure they would have told me by now, um, if I was gonna go. And so I thought they might have got the wrong email, or they've been trying to get in hold of me and they couldn't. So I scrambled around looking for emails, and I did find one, and they told me that they haven't forgotten about me, and there's 800 people on the waiting list.
Gosh,
So,
there's a lot of
because
waiting around for an MBE, isn't there?
yeah, that's what
So
I'm
if the king
noticing.
is listening, can we please speed this up?
Absolutely, yeah, I need it now.
But
But
it's on a serious note,
yes,
what you've done is like you've achieved so many things that people without disabilities wouldn't be able to do. And I think you are just making a statement in a way that, as you said, you can set your mind to something. And even though you've got these setbacks, you can still go out and achieve. So what is it, Isaac, do you think, that has enabled you to go out and do all these amazing things when it would have been probably a lot easier to go, oh, do you know what? I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna chill at home. Like, what's motivating you? What's helping you to get out there and do all this stuff, do you think?
I think the motivation has changed over time. At the beginning, and I think it's still to this day, it has been thanks to my friends and family and the people around me. Have always encouraged me to be the best version of myself, and they've never really discouraged the crazy things that I decide to do. They always say, "Oh, well, if you want to, then you should go for it." So that's definitely helped. Then overcoming the challenges with my mental health, and thinking that I would never be internally happy and have that inner peace. That was a journey in itself that took a long way to overcome. And once I came through the other side, it then made me realize that my disability is always being my strength, because disability's been the one thing that has got me up and out every day. Maybe I may have not been there mentally, but it's the disability that's helped me overcome the challenges. And I also believe that if it's there to be done, why not? I mean, technology and different ways of doing things are out there. So I see why not. And when I did YouTube for many years and being able to film my journey and being able to show people what can be done, I think that can only be seen as a good thing. Because loads of people through my LinkedIn and sometimes other platforms say, "Oh, I didn't know about that. I may look into that and get involved." So it's a bit of a two-way street.
Yeah, I'm always seeing your updates on LinkedIn. I'm like, what's he up to this time? Where's he going now? Which country is he going to? What action-packed day is Isaac having?
Yes.
But you know about the kind of mental health, because we talk about that more these days, mental health and things that kind of, you know, bother us. And do you think it's, what made you what mental health struggles have you overcome? Was it to do with, you're so inspirational and you're doing all these amazing things? Do you think you've got pressure to keep on doing those things? Is that what sort of troubled you?
So that was one of the aspects which got me quite down because, back when I was really into social media and watching it all the time, you see celebrities and you think that they're only showing the good. Sorry, th- you see their lives and you see it's perfect or only good. And back then I thought, oh, to be, if I want to be like that, I can't really be down. I can't be sad. I can't show people the downside. So I thought that was like only thing I dealt with, and everyone else was happy. So I didn't feel very open to talk about it. So it was like that vicious cycle of not being honest with myself, not being honest with my audience, and I'd only share positive things. Even in videos, I'd cut out the bad parts because I thought, oh, I can't show that because who's gonna think I'm an inspiration if I share something negative? Like that doesn't work. So there was that. Then on top of that, I thought to be happy in life, you needed to be in a relationship. So that was taking a lot of, that became quite blinding of what I was doing. And I was really focused on getting into a relationship. Um, and and I got to a point where, if a girl just did something nice to me, ultimately thought that she liked me. So I would end up getting quite jealous when I found out that she had a relationship or she wasn't interested, and I'd get really hurt by it, and then on top of that as well, as I mentioned, I did YouTube, and I'd won a competition in 2017, which got me onto the television, and I'd won an award where I'd had a YouTube mentor, and I thought, okay, this is my big break. I'm gonna have 1 million followers, so I'm gonna have loads of money, and all of those kind of things. So three of those things came together, and it got to a breaking point, and I was like, you know what, I really need to learn about this and the mind and why I'm feeling like this. And for the first time, I took a step back. And I remember the movie that I'd watched previously. I don't know if you've seen the movie Lucy.
No, I've
Um,
not seen that.
so it's Scarlett Johansson, and she she's got like drugs in her stomach, but it enhances her brain capacity. And she uses more than 10% of her brain power, and she's able to basically change her reality. So I don't know why this film came to my head, but I thought, oh, is that fantasy or is that real? So I searched in YouTube, 10% of your brain, and then that's where I came across the law of attraction and a guy called Bob Proctor talking about it. And that's when I came to a realization that how we think, feel, and speak is the reality that we create. And I just really took it on board and started really learning about it. I thought it was quite fascinating, and kind of changed my perspective on life, and I had a different focus really. So yeah, those different challenges came all at once, but I think it was something that I'm grateful for. And the age that this was about 25, and now I feel more internal happiness and inner peace, which is helpful.
Was there like a turning point one day and you thought, I think I need to talk to a professional about this?
Um, well, so I didn't for that, but in school, there was a period where teachers kind of saw, like, thought they saw something going on, so they gave me counseling. Um, and I had this counselor, and at the time, because I was young and I didn't really understand counseling, I thought, oh, this random woman's asking me all of these questions, and I don't understand why I'm doing this. It's a pointless exercise, and I'm here for an hour talking about something. And I didn't really give her really open and honest answers because I didn't see the point in it. But now looking back at it, that could have been a real earlier turning point if I really utilized it and being able to talk to someone who wasn't someone I knew. Um, but yeah, after that, I didn't really look to professional help, but it was me who took that step.
It sounds like they did have your back, that the school was kind of keeping an eye on your like welfare. Let's talk about your school because your family sent you to like a mainstream school, didn't they?
Yes, yeah. Mum always pushed me to go to mainstream. It was the secondary, which was a little more difficult because I had a school near me that I could have just drove to, but at the time they didn't have lifts all the floors. So I ended up having to go to another one, and then I had school transport, which would take me to and from school. And I had learning support assistants, and yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was good. And I had a lot of peers as well, which were very helpful. But I think after when I got to A level, I think school life wasn't really for me. Um, I kind of was like, I need to get out of here and do my own thing now. Because I've always had a creative mind. So to be
Mm-hmm.
stuck in felt like a box. I was like, oh, I need to really get out and do something different.
Is that when you started doing the video editing?
Yeah, so I did A level media, and I really loved doing that. And in school, they had Apple Macs, and they had a Final Cut Pro to do the video editing. And I had learning support assistants, but some of them weren't very good on the computer. So trying to explain to them how to video edit was like, I'm not gonna have a good grade after all of this. So
I bet
school,
that was really frustrating, wasn't it?
it was very frustrating because some lessons you're trying to tell them what to do, and it was just very difficult.
They're supposed to be helping you, but then you're trying to help them to help you.
Yeah, basically, yes, yeah. So that was an obstacle in itself. But the school saw this and they were like, okay, you know what, we're going to give you software that you can use at home, and then you
Hmm.
can still do the work at home. So they gave me Premiere Pro for my PC. But the other problem was the school knew how to use Final Cut, but they didn't know how to use Premiere. So I had to self-teach myself the whole
Oh my
editing software
goodness.
just to get a grade. Um, but it's something I'm very grateful for because um, I've learned the whole software, and now I find it easy to learn something if I'm stuck on something. So yeah, so I've sort of taught myself the editing, and that's how I took it onto YouTube and getting a camera through a filmmaker, because he saw my passion, and that's how it all started. 2015, yeah.
Gosh, it's a good job you're so motivated because, I struggle sometimes with these like online tutorials when I'm trying to learn something new because we use Final Cut Pro at the
Right.
BBC as well, and I'm using it now. And there's so many things on there that you new things to learn and new techniques, and sometimes it's quite hard with these tutorials and stuff. So yeah, you've got to be quite motivated to get on with that.
Yeah, I mean, I am someone who tries to find the shortest video as possible because I don't want to be watching a 20-minute video. But yeah, it's saying it's self-motivating.
Sure. And you've done so many videos and vlogs, haven't you?
Oh,
That's
a
your
lot.
passion.
So it was for a while, but then again, with the breaking point, I kind of lost motivation with YouTube. But now with my LinkedIn and what I've grown there, I want to get back into it in some degree.
And so what are you doing now then that you're really passionate about?
Um, I don't know. It keeps changing really, because obviously the advocacy work is something that's really important. Because I've built a platform, and a lot of people do appreciate when I do change people's perspectives or share something that I'm using and people can use as well, like different technologies. So I think in that regard, it's something that I probably will do for the rest of my life. It may take different forms of doing that, but I think that's something really good. And I love sharing stories. That's something I really like doing. And the video editing and the content creation, I think I do want to bring that back. Maybe doing more professional kind of vlogs for LinkedIn, showing a bit more of a behind the scenes of my life. I'd love to just get back into the video realm, but if I do, I want a team rather than me doing it all again because I think I don't want to lose that motivation.
Sure, sure. And it's nice to do stuff on your own, but it's also nice to be with other people and do stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I think that's how you get the new ideas and get the ideas flowing.
And I noticed were you at some kind of convention the other day? Was it comic books, video games?
Oh, Comic Con.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I love seeing those things. Just you're getting out and about and sharing your interest with other people who might think, oh, it might be quite a lot of hassle if I try and do this in my wheelchair. And is that why you like to do it?
Well, that one came around very randomly because my friend, we were meant to meet up, and recently moved to London. And he said, "Oh, I've never been." Oh no, we were gonna go out, and we weren't sure what we were gonna do. And then he was like, "Oh, actually, Comic Con's tomorrow." I said, "Oh, is it?" And because I'd not been since 2019. So I thought, yeah, let's go. I've not been for a while. It'd be good to see it. But I've been before, and I've actually created music videos of the people in costume, which is always great to see. So yeah, I think it's just to see people's passion and the creativity that people bring to their costumes. I think it's really inspiring.
You were talking, you mentioned your mum a couple of times.
Oh yes.
Tell me about your mum because she sounds like an amazing woman actually, in the way that she's really helped you to. You said she's helped you to be the best that you can.
Yeah, I mean, Mum's been someone who doesn't stop as well. And I think that's given me the real big strength of not giving up and always pushing the boundaries of what can be done. And she's just treated me like everyone else, and really, she's got really kind soul, and is really takes a lot of time out of her way to help people. Um, but also she's someone who says it how it is, and that's something I do appreciate as well. Um, so yeah, I think as like people say, tough love, but I think it's yeah, it's good to have both sides, because that's another thing through my journey is being honest and being real about things is like the best thing you can do about yourself and with others. Not always easy, but it's always the best thing to do.
Have you had other people with disabilities who've sort of come to you and said, "Oh, how can you be so motivated? How do you do all this stuff?"
Yeah, I mean, I get it quite a lot on well, sometimes through my LinkedIn comments and even some friends. Yeah, I mean, and it's difficult because of people's different um, circumstances and their belief systems as well. Because I do try and help, and when people do feel unmotivated, it kind of brings a mirror image of how I used to be as well, and how I was someone who didn't really want to listen and get really motivated. So, it's difficult, but I do try my best to show people like this is what can be done, and you got to put your mind to it, and I also try and get people not to compare themselves with me because we all have our own lives. Because I have someone who always says, "Oh, I want to do all you do, and I want to get awards and stuff like that." And I say, you got to do kind of like your own path, because they're kind of comparing like I'm doing these great things, and they're not doing it, but in what they're doing, I'm sure they're doing great work, but they just don't realize that they are. Um, so yeah, and the other thing is, I might be able to do these things, but it does come with its challenges. It's not like I wake up and I've gone sailing or I've gone skiing. Like it comes with a lot of challenges and a lot to the journey. So, I try and show that as well. Like it's not easy to do these things either.
When you say challenges, what kind of challenges?
I mean, well, we could go back to the skydive. Like for me to just do the skydive, I couldn't do it in this country. Emailed at least 20 different airfields, couldn't do it. Went to different charities. They gave me contacts and they weren't getting back um, until someone said America. So then I had to email America, and then they said they could do it, and then there's someone to come with me because it would have been a 10-day trip there. So I had someone who could assist me for 10 days, someone to help me with the packing. Like I said, I get leg pain, so sitting on a 7-hour flight wasn't the most comfortable. So I have to go through that, make sure that my the transport is okay, to and from the airport. It's just like so much that has to be thought out. It's not just, oh, I'm going to go to America tomorrow and just get on a flight. Like, it doesn't really work out like that. There's just so many obstacles, but not saying it's hard because, I'm used to it now. It's just, I consider it to be more long-winded than it to be hard. Like, it's quite fairly easy once you know what you're doing. It's just, can be quite long-winded.
Well, I think what shines through is you're just determined. You think, right, I'm going to do a skydive, and then you make that happen, and that's not easy with all that kind of bureaucracy and red tape, and like you said, health and safety and stuff like that. So what's next for Isaac? What are you planning now?
What is next? See, the thing is, so for the past 2-3 years, I've kind of not had any like New Year's resolutions. So I've kind of just gone with the flow, and that's allowed me to kind of have a bit more of an open mind, because being a model for adaptive clothing wasn't on the bucket list. I never thought I'd ever be a model. I took the mick out of the fashion industry. I never understood it, but here I am, being in Vogue, British Vogue, which was kind of like, again, something I never expected this year.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Is that been out yet? Is that out now?
Yeah, so that was in May's edition. Yeah, that was in May. And that was because of London Fashion Week and being on the catwalk in February. So, it's stuff like that, like an MBE, and all these things. Like, it's just stuff I didn't do, that never would have imagined. So I'm just kind of going with the flow. I think one of the main things that I am going to concentrate on is seated perspective. So that's a company, me and another disability advocate, Kat, have come together where we saw a gap in the market where places which do really good accessibility but they don't have videos. So we want to offer that service to them and create videos for these different venues, hotels, organizations. And not
Well,
only
that sounds great.
and not only will it inspire venues to know why it's so important, but also for people with disabilities to know what's out there.
That sounds really good. And it's nice sometimes to go with the flow, as you said, because especially when you've been in a place where you felt under a lot of pressure and you've had to like come back from that, sometimes it's good to not have too much, set in stone. You can just be free and kind of take it as it comes, modelling for Vogue,
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Oh. Isaac, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure and I've really liked talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Have you got any final advice for people with disabilities that might be listening? Maybe they're struggling with their mindset at the moment, or lacking motivation, or worried, or just any message at all?
Yeah, I think the age-old saying that it's okay not to be okay, being honest about how you feel, because there's always someone out there willing to listen. And one final piece of advice is always be yourself, because who else is going to do it?
Isaac, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm Angela Walker and I've been in conversation with Isaac Harvey MBE, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. For more information, check out my website angelawalkerreports.com, where you'll find information about other podcasts in the series and you can see more of my work. And if you know someone who's inspirational, or if there's a story you think is underreported, then drop me a line through my website. I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, take care.